Hey Jodi, welcome to our windy stage up on, I'm not sure what even street we're on, but
Your
um,
guess is as good as mine.
we're at the Brand Innovators brand marketing for Can Lines. Did I have that right?
I think so.
Okay. And just want to have a conversation with you about your career, because as many creatives, marketers, strategists have been getting started in in their role in different roles. You've had a really interesting journey, so would love for you to share a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah, of course. So I started my career working on the agency side, which I loved. I thought it was like the best first experience that I could get out of school, especially knowing I wanted to be in the world of marketing, knowing I wanted to be in the world of entertainment, but not exactly where I would land. So got a lot of incredible media planning experience there on different types of brands, but then ultimately felt like I knew I wanted to get more into the entertainment space and really be on the brand side. So I was really fortunate to find a role at Discovery, which I loved and got a ton of great experience getting
Hmm.
to work on, some shows that I loved,
Yeah,
like Shark Week, things
yeah,
like
Shark Week.
that.
There we go.
So that was really amazing. I spent some time there and then moved over to HBO, which was sort of like the stream role for me. And, similar work of working on different titles. But what was really interesting is there's just been so much change, I think, since I've been there. So I've experienced it in a lot of different forms with the launch of HBO Max and many different new series. So I've been working across paid media planning the whole time that I've been there, and that's been really the crux of my career. And have been able to kind of grow that from originally being focused on more like social and programmatic investment when I first joined to be fully integrated planning across all of upper funnel. Um, so I really enjoyed it. Definitely endured a lot of change through that process, including the joy of getting to work with some of my Discovery, coworkers again
Yeah,
through mergers. But yeah, so that's kind of been, where I started, but a lot of just experience and understanding the consumer, what is driving them to make different entertainment decisions, what they want to watch, what that means to them, and how you ask people for their time and their money at the same time, and really making sure that they see the value of the service and that they want to come in, watch our content, and stick around and become those loyalists that will
yeah.
really advocate for the brand.
Curious what it's like being a fan of a show or fan of something on HBO, right?
Yeah.
But then you get a chance to be behind the scenes and working on it, and just curious, like what that feels like. Is it different? Like, are you a different kind of fan now that you're behind the scenes and actually get to work on promoting all different things around it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, it's so fun. It's, you get to work on some of your favorite pieces of content and you get to really know them inside and out and appreciate them in a way that you maybe didn't before, just knowing some of the intricacies or backstories that go along with that. And you get to really think about what is it in this show that excites people and that brings people together and drives conversation so that you can really tap into that within the marketing to make sure that you are getting as large of an
Yeah,
audience as possible. So that part of it is so much fun. I do think that there's an important piece too that I've kind of learned over time of being able to separate yourself from it sometimes because it can sometimes be really easy to fall into the trap of like, well, I love this show and I know what I like about it. So that's what everyone will. But oftentimes, you are a focus group of one and you
yeah,
need to
yeah,
lean on the data that you see and the insights that you have. And sometimes that might take you in a different direction than what you might personally want to see
yeah.
as a fan. So I think it's, a balance of maintain the excitement because it keeps work fun and makes me want to show up every day, but also know how to separate yourself at the
Yeah.
same time.
Can you share a story of just, when you've been working through those kinds of scenarios and being a fan of something where you saw something one way, but the data or consumer understanding said something different? That like,
Yeah, I I will say it comes up I think oftentimes when we're doing like title prioritization and how we support different titles and
so what
um
what is title prioritization?
often it's a fancy way of saying budgeting probably.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm like
um
title
Yeah.
prioritization. Hmm.
But like I said, I focus on paid media. Unfortunately, nobody has an infinite budget these days.
Yeah.
So we have to make some tough choices sometimes. And I think sometimes it's easy to say, like, well, this is my favorite show and I love it. But if you are doing the work and you realize like, hey, we're really focused on bringing in new subscribers, and actually this has a really steady base of current subscribers. So it maybe doesn't make sense to spend on it. It doesn't mean the show won't be successful. It doesn't mean that the show isn't amazing. But when we think about how we place our dollar, there's a better bet somewhere else that we should be taking instead. So being able to kind of, be that objective lens as you
I'm
come
an
in.
objective, neutral fan.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you can still enjoy the show, but like, yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some of the change that was happening, like obviously in the news and also like within the current environment. I'm just curious on like how do you prepare yourself for that kind of change? It's like a lot of people coming into the workforce now, have a lot of change in front of them from technology and different ways that companies are going to be operating and things like that. I'm just curious how that unfolded for you going through all these different changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for one is stay focused on the work today. It's really easy to speculate about what might happen in 6 months or a year, but all that can do is kind of just get you worked up, and it doesn't change the task at hand. And then I think, be open-minded too when the change does come, because you can't avoid it, and it exists in every single industry at every single company in some way, shape, or form. To try and to not get stuck in like, well, we do it this way because we do it this way. There are new tools, there's new data that we need to be open-minded. So just really trying to embrace that. And I think that that's also where you see, some people kind of rise to the top in terms of, career growth and development, is that they're willing to be that team player that is open to new ideas.
Yeah. How has your role changed like over the past year or two? Just curious if you can like talk about like what it used to be and maybe what it's like now, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think, one thing that always comes to mind is we've really changed like how we think about KPIs. So when I first started working on the HBO side, we were incredibly focused on reaching our subscribers. And that was the first and foremost goal of every campaign. Then the streaming wars happened, and suddenly, we need to think about how we get new people into the service. And now we're more focused on subscriber acquisition. So being able to make that pivot and kind of accept that new KPI and way of thinking and way of working has been, I think, one of the biggest changes. And it's existed for a few years now, but it's definitely evolved, I think, as all of the competition within streaming has evolved as well. And it impacts things like channel mix. It impacts things like the types of creative that you use. So just trying to really get under the hood of like, what are all the tweaks that we should be testing out to really live into this new mentality?
Yeah. Are there ones that you can share that are just interesting KPIs that maybe aren't standard yet in the industry that you're maybe adopting, or just kind of curious if this is a new measurement around like how the consumer's shifting and what they're watching?
I mean, I think, we try to focus a lot on incrementality, which I think can sometimes feel like a buzzword, but when you can actually develop the right tech to understand the true impact that your media is having, I think that's really important. And I think that it's been super interesting to see that versus more of an old school, just cost per acquisition, mindset, because you can start to see that where people are exposed to media can have such an impact on when they sign up, or, how they sign up. So that's been really interesting. And then I think also just monitoring consumer habits, like you were alluding to, of it changes our flighting strategy. People don't need to see something 3 months out for a show that they can't watch yet. So thinking about how do we both, create urgency around a premiere, but not be spreading ourselves too thin, spending too far out. That's been, I think, like a constant learning area, because it's just evolved so much over the past few years.
So when something launches, like within the app, like are you on call? Like is there like a launch day? Like everyone's in like the war room when something's launching and you're monitoring how everything's performing? Or is it no, it's already set and we kind of back away and we can enjoy the weekend?
I would say we typically launch our campaigns before premiere. So we are in the data every day when something has launched to see how it's performing and what we can start doing to optimize. And then the same, especially post-premiere, we have access to even more data as more folks come in and actually are able to watch the series. So it's less so about like, oh, it's 9 o'clock on Sunday, we all have to be huddled around our computers. For my role, at least. I can't speak for everyone in the company, but it's more just real time every day monitoring than like that one moment. But we still have I still get a little excited
I
sometimes,
mean,
like the war room around a trailer drop. It can be fun, and
yeah,
like
I'd
making
have
sure
to
everything
imagine.
launches smoothly.
Yeah. So where do you see just kind of the like your specific career taking you next? Like you have a lot of different changes happening, like around the company, around just like what this future looks like. What are some areas you're most excited about as you progress for everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like still so much to learn too, specifically within the entertainment business. But I think that in media in general, there's so much evolving tech. I think it's moving so quickly right now with AI of like figuring out the right ways to embrace that and how
Hmm.
that can, one, help potentially free up time for our team to give more thoughtful, strategic work to every
Right. Yeah.
title. But also just who are the new partners that we can work with and what can they bring to the table that we maybe didn't have access to before. I think is really exciting. I just think that there's so much development in that area, and I don't know if we've necessarily found, the nail in the head of how to embrace it. So figuring that out, I think, is the next big challenge.
Yeah. No, I love it. I didn't bring up AI once, so no, but it's going to have such a big impact on even just like our quality of life and what we work on and what we can do. So
Yeah.
no, thanks for joining us and sharing your thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Yeah.